Just after 500 local time, the sea is almost perfectly still. No whitecaps, no rolling swell, only a sheet of steel-gray water stretching all the way to the horizon. Inside the carrier's information center, the first alert is quiet. Nothing dramatic, just a soft tone, routine enough that no one reacts at first. A new contact appears on the screen, then another, then 4 more. 6 surface contacts, all appearing within moments of each other. Their bearings are spread wide. Their speeds are uneven at first, then they begin to climb. The radar operator tightens the scale, and the vague returns sharpen into something more defined. These are not fishing boats. They are not commercial vessels. The size, shape, and movement all point to something else. Military hulls. Condition 3. The words move through the ship calmly, but they carry weight. Crews adjust their posture. Hatches are checked. Systems wake up across the vessel. Not fully engaged, not yet, but alert.
On the bridge, the carrier holds its line. 22 knots. Straight course, no deviation. Closest point of approach calculations begin updating. At first, the numbers close slowly. Then, faster. The 6 contacts accelerate. 20 knots, 24. One pushes beyond 26. They are not drifting. They are maneuvering. The tracks begin forming a loose arc. The tactical display makes the pattern impossible to miss. 2 contacts angle toward the port quarter. 2 more spread forward. The remaining pair stays slightly behind, offset and watching. A ring, still wide, but tightening. Long-range optics come online. Electro-optical sensors swing across the water. The image zooms in. Heat signatures rise against the cooler surface. Gray hulls, sharp bows, low silhouettes. Surface vessels built for serious work. The captain steps closer to the bridge windows. He says nothing. He does not need to. The data is already telling the story. A bridge-to-bridge hail is recommended. The order is given. The message goes out across open maritime frequencies. Calm, professional, controlled. No answer. The contacts continue closing. 20 nautical miles. 19. One of the ships adjusts course by 3 degrees. It is subtle, but deliberate. Just enough to tighten the arc. Inside the information center, the track supervisor marks the change. Time-stamped. Logged. Contact Alpha is adjusting for intercept geometry. The carrier does not answer with movement. No speed change. No turn. The flight deck remains still. Aircraft sits secured, wings folded, as if nothing unusual is happening. That is the point. Confirm profiles. The analyst does not hesitate. Mass configuration, radar layout, hull proportions, everything matches known profiles. Russian surface competence, 6 vessels. No visible reaction follows the confirmation. Nationality does not change the procedure. Intent does. And intent is becoming easier to read. At 15 nautical miles, the separation is no longer just a number. At this range, every course correction matters. Every small movement carries meaning. Misjudgment can turn into something much larger. Forward, the carrier's deck-mounted system rotates a few degrees, barely noticeable, just enough to be seen by anyone watching through optics. A quiet signal, a controlled message without escalation. Electronic support measures begin listening more closely. The carrier is not broadcasting its intentions. It is receiving, collecting, cataloging every emission, every sweep, every trace of radar energy. The Russian ships are active now, searching, measuring, tracking. They are painting the carrier. Closest point of approach is now under 4 nautical miles and still decreasing. The Rhine tightens again. One ship moves slightly ahead of the others, testing the space. Another falls back, holding position like a reserve. This is not random movement, this is coordination. The carrier remains the center point. Massive, unhurried, silent. On the bridge, a junior officer glances toward the captain. The captain does not look back. His eyes remain fixed ahead, not only on the water, but on the invisible lines forming around his ship. No one reaches for a microphone. No one raises a voice. Outside, the ocean remains calm. Sunlight glints off steel. To anyone watching from far away, it might look like nothing is happening at all. But inside the ship, every system is reading the same truth. 6 Russian surface vessels are closing around a US aircraft carrier, and the distance between them is shrinking with every second. 0526 local time. The range drops below 12 nautical miles. At this distance, the ocean stops being empty space. It becomes geometry. Angles matter. Speed matters. Intent becomes visible. Inside the information center, the surface picture tightens further. 6 tracks now move with purpose. No longer a loose arc, no longer a coincidence. They're shaping the water around the carrier. Contacts coordinate course changes. The tactical display updates in real time. 2 Russian ships slide wider to port, applying lateral pressure. Another pair angles in from starboard, their wakes bright and clean against the dark surface. The final 2 remain behind the carrier's stern, offset, controlling the exit lanes. It is a textbook surface encirclement, not overt enough to force immediate escalation, close enough to remove any doubt. Closest point of approach, 3.2 nautical miles. The carrier maintains 22 knots, course steady. The flight deck remains secured, no aircraft liftoff. No deck alarms sound. From a distance, the carrier looks almost indifferent. Inside, nothing is being overlooked. Long-range cameras lock onto individual hull markings. Radar operators separate each signal from the larger picture. Electronic teams begin identifying patterns, pulse timing, power levels, sweep intervals, and signal behavior. Every second the Russian ships remain close, they reveal more than they realize. Bridge-to-bridge hail, second attempt. The message is sent again across standard maritime channels. Clear, professional, routine. No reply. No acknowledgement. No change in course. The Russian ships answer with movement instead. One vessel on the carrier's port bow increases speed to 27 knots. It slides slightly across the carrier's projected path, narrowing the space ahead. Another mirrors the movement from starboard, not crossing the line, but closing the gap. Pressure, not open confrontation. On the bridge, the officer of the deck watches the bearing lines draw closer together. His voice remains steady. Recommend show of presence. The captain gives a single nod. No systems are brought forward aggressively. No launch covers move. Nothing is done for drama. Instead, the ship changes posture in quieter ways. Sensors sharpen. Recording protocols activate across several channels. This is how a carrier shows presence without escalating the moment. Forward, the deck-mounted system shifts again by a fraction. The movement is slow, mechanical, and impossible to misunderstand for anyone watching through optics. The Russian ships hold their lines. Closest point of approach, 2.5 nautical miles. At this distance, even the water itself begins to matter. Hull wakes, pressure zones, and small course changes can all create risk. The danger is no longer theoretical. Still, the carrier does not turn. That choice is not about stubbornness, it is about clarity. If a carrier changes course under pressure, that movement is recorded, interpreted, and replayed. So the carrier holds steady. From above, the pattern would look deliberate. 6 gray arrows angled inward, one massive shape in the center, moving in a straight line through the narrowing space, a closing ring. Contact Delta, altering heading 5 degrees inward. That is the moment the tension changes. Delta's movement is not dramatic. It is precise, calculated. If the carrier maintains course, the new geometry brings the closest point of approach below 2 nautical miles. And the carrier does maintain course. Inside the information center, the track supervisor flags the maneuver. A red outline appears around the contact. Priority attention. This is the closest approach yet. Electronic sensors begin collecting new information. Russian radar patterns shift. Narrower beams, more focused sweeps. They are no longer simply tracking the carrier. They are studying it. And the carrier is studying them in return. Every signal is captured, stored, and time-stamped. The Russian ships may believe they are tightening the space.
In reality, they're expanding the record. Closest point of approach, 1.9 nautical miles, still trending lower. On the bridge, no one speaks for several seconds. Then the captain breaks the silence. Maintain course. 2 words, no emphasis, no explanation. The Russian ships keep their positions. The ring is no longer wide enough to dismiss. It is tight enough that sailors topside can see steel on the horizon, hulls moving through the water in careful alignment. This is not an accident. This is pressure applied at sea. No alarms sound. No one rushes. But every system aboard the carrier is fully awake, watching 6 Russian vessels move close around it. And one of them is still closing. 0534 local time. The carrier does not change speed. 22 knots. Constant. Unremarkable. Intentional. From the outside, it may look passive. From inside the network, it looks absolute. The surface picture is no longer limited to one ship. Data flows across the strike group in real time. Escorts, airborne sensors, and off-board feeds all merge into one precise model of the water around them. 6 Russian surface vessels, every bearing, every rate of turn, every acceleration, logged down to the second. This is not about who is closest, it is about who sees more. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical display now has depth. These are no longer just icons on a screen. They are layered tracks with predicted paths stretching ahead of each contact, showing where every vessel is likely to be seconds from now. The geometry is alive, and everyone in the room understands what it means. Defensive arcs calculate silently in the background. Time to contact numbers appear, change and disappear as the system updates its predictions. No one announces them. There is no need. Contacts maintaining encirclement geometry. The Russian ships continue to maneuver, tightening and relaxing the ring in subtle cycles. Pressure on, pressure off. Testing for a reaction. They get none. The carrier's escorts hold position beyond the immediate scene, far enough to stay outside the pattern, close enough to respond without delay. Their radars remain active but controlled. Their systems stay ready but restrained. This is not hesitation. This is discipline by design. Above the formation, invisible to anyone looking from the surface, the wider picture continues to build. Surveillance platforms track every movement from angles the Russian ships may never consider. From altitude, the geometry looks different, cleaner, more obvious. The ring is not a trap, it is exposure. Russian emissions shifting frequency bands. Electronic specialists lean closer to their consoles. The change does not alarm them, it interests them. Every adjustment reveals something. Habits, preferences, limits, and timing. Every radar sweep leaves a signature, and every signature can be remembered. On the bridge, sunlight flashes across the water as the carrier's bow cuts cleanly through the sea. Sailors topside move with purpose, but without urgency. Helm steady, course unchanged. The message remains the same. We're not reacting, we're recording. Closest point of approach holds between 1.8 and 2 nautical miles. The nearest Russian ship remains just outside the most dangerous zone, close enough to be seen clearly, far enough not to cross the line. They know the line is there. The carrier knows they know. This is where control shows itself. Not through noise, not through sudden movement, not through raw force, through calm. The Russian ships push their sensors harder, narrower beams, more focused scans. Their systems reach outward, trying to read the carrier's posture. But the carrier is not hiding. It does not need to. Everything they're trying to measure has already been measured many times over. The important question is no longer what they are learning, it is what they are revealing. Inside the information center, a junior analyst flags a pattern. Repeating sweep intervals. A slight timing drift between 2 of the Russian ships. Coordination, but not perfect. Logged. Another operator notices a delay between a maneuver order and its execution on one hull. Small delay. Older system behavior.
Logged. None of it needs to be discussed aloud. The system remembers. On the bridge, the captain watches the horizon through polarized glass. 6 gray shapes now sit evenly spaced, holding their ring. They want a response. They want motion. A speed change, a turn, any sign that the pressure is working. They get nothing. Contact Bravo, reducing speed. That is new. Bravo drops from 25 knots to 22, matching the carrier exactly. The move is not openly aggressive. It is curious, almost like a mirror. The ring shifts again, adapting around the change. The carrier stays steady. Silence stretches across the bridge. The ocean remains calm, but the situation is no longer static. It is balanced, tight, and controlled by inches. Every Russian ship is now within visual range. Every sailor topside can see hull lines, deck structures, and crew movement. Flags are visible. Steel is visible. Intent is visible. And still, the carrier does not turn. So are the cameras. They are filming too. That is expected. What they do not see is the difference in perspective. From their side, it may look like a carrier being surrounded. From the carrier's side, it is something else entirely. 6 ships fully mapped, fully measured, and fully understood. This is the moment when pressure stops building and begins testing resolve. And one Russian ship is about to test it too far. 0541 local time. The balance breaks quietly. Contact Delta altering course.
High interest vector. Delta's track bends inward. Not a wide maneuver, not a display. A precise adjustment designed to reduce the space ahead of the carrier's bow. The closest point of approach drops quickly. 2.1 nautical miles, 2.0, 1.7. That number matters. At this distance, wakes interact. At this distance, assumptions become dangerous. On the bridge, the officer of the deck does not raise his voice. Mark Delta priority track. Inside the information center, Delta's icon turns solid red.
Sensors retask automatically. Cameras swing toward it. Range gates tighten. Delta increases speed again. 28 knots now. Its bow wake sharpens, white water flaring as it drives forward. This is no longer mirroring. This is a probe. The carrier does not turn. The captain stands still, hands resting lightly near the chart table. His eyes remain forward. No order to maneuver, no command to raise the temperature. The decision is deliberate. If the carrier turns now, the story changes. So it does not. Recommend airborne presence. The request moves through the chain without delay. Approved. On the flight deck, a Seahawk crew is already moving. No alarms, no rush. Only practiced motion. Blades unfold. Systems come online. From Delta's bridge, the helicopter is impossible to miss. It lifts cleanly from the deck and moves low over the water, nose pointed toward the closing Russian ship. Not fast, not dramatic, just impossible to ignore. The Seahawk holds at 200 feet, offset to Delta's port side. Cameras record, sensors lock. Every detail is captured. Deck layout, crew movement, antenna positions, and bridge activity. The helicopter does not cross the ship's bow. It does not need to. A green visual marker pulses once, steady and unmistakable, directed toward the Russian ship's bridge line. Controlled, precise, non-damaging. The radio call follows immediately. Calm, measured. Russian naval vessel. This is a United States Navy aircraft. You are conducting unsafe maneuvers in international waters. Alter course immediately. The message repeats, first in Russian, then in English. Delta holds course for 5 seconds. Then its bow wake shortens. Speed drops from 28 knots to 24. The closest point of approach stabilizes. Inside the information center, the change registers instantly. Delta reducing speed, CPA holding at 1.6 nautical miles. The ring shifts. 2 other Russian ships adjust outward, opening space that had been narrowing only moments earlier. Another eases back, creating separation astern. The geometry loosens, pressure releases. Not all at once, but enough to be seen. The Seahawk maintains position, steady and silent. Its presence is unmistakable. Cameras continue recording, sensors continue listening. This is not intimidation. This is documentation. Finally, the Russian ship's bridge responds. A brief transmission. Controlled. Formal. United States naval vessel. We are conducting routine operations. We request safe separation. The captain listens. He does not answer immediately. Then he gives the reply. Maintain course. The message leaves the carrier, firm and neutral. You are operating in international waters. Your maneuvers are being recorded. Nothing more. The Seahawk peels away slowly, climbing just enough to clear the ship's airspace, never turning its cameras off. Delta alters course by 4 degrees. Small, but decisive. CPA increases. 1.8 nautical miles. 2.2. The ring continues to unravel. Russian ships that had been pressing inward moments earlier now slide outward, regaining distance without ceremony. No sharp turns, no dramatic signals, just space returning to the water. On the bridge, the captain exhales once, quietly. Not relief, resolution. The carrier remains on course, speed unchanged, flight deck controlled. The line has been approached, tested, and then redrawn. The Russian warships now hold position at safer distances. Their formation is no longer tight, no longer pressing. The moment of decision has passed, and the outcome is clear without any further escalation. 0544 local time. The water opens up. What had been compressed geometry relaxes into distance again. Bearings widen. CPA numbers climb. The ring dissolves not through force, but through restraint. One Russian ship alters course first. 5 degrees outward. Speed steady. No announcement. Another follows. Then a third. The remaining vessels hold for several seconds, as if confirming what they are seeing, before easing away one by one. The choreography reverses itself. Quiet. Deliberate. No withdrawal call is made. None is needed. Inside the information center, the surface picture stabilizes. Red priority outlines fade back to standard tracking colors. Predicted paths now stretch away from the carrier instead of toward it. Contacts increasing range. The captain nods once. The Seahawk returns to the deck, touching down with the same calm precision it launched with. Blades fold, systems power down. The recording does not stop until the wheels are locked. Inside the information center, operators continue logging. Timestamps, course changes, speed reductions. Every second of the encounter is preserved. This is the part no one sees, not the closing ring, not the visual marker near the bridge line, not the moment when the distance finally stopped shrinking. The record. Every maneuver, every emission, every hesitation. This is where the outcome lives. On the bridge, the carrier's course has not changed. 22 knots from start to finish. No speed change, no turn to port, no turn to starboard. From the outside, it may look uneventful. From the inside, it is definitive. The Russian ships maintain separation now, holding at safe distances. Still visible, still tracking, but no longer pressing. Their formation is loose, observational. The pressure is gone. No victory is declared. There is no announcement over the ship's speakers, no applause, no sudden release of tension. That is not how this works. The carrier continues forward, cutting through clean water beneath an opening horizon. Sailors return to routine movement. Watches rotate. Coffee cups reappear near consoles that never stopped glowing. For the crew, this was not a spectacle. It was a process, a test of discipline, a demonstration of control. Inside the network, analysts begin their work, comparing logs, aligning timelines, matching emissions to known libraries, and confirming what had already been suspected. 6 warships came close. 1 came too close. And then they did not. That distinction matters, because at sea, escalation is not only defined by what is launched or fired, it is defined by the choices made under pressure. The Russian ships chose distance. The carrier chose consistency. No one crossed the final line. That is the point. As the range continues to open, the surface picture simplifies. 6 contacts become background tracks. Interest drops. Priority shifts back to routine operations. The incident does not end with a bang. It ends with separation. And that is how it will be written. Time, location, participants, actions taken. No adjectives, no conclusions, just facts. A US aircraft carrier maintained course in international waters. 6 Russian warships approached. 1 tested the line. The line held. The sea returns to quiet geometry. Flat water, clean horizon, still moving through space without friction. And somewhere in the logs, the moment remains frozen. Proof that control at sea does not belong to the loudest ship or the closest hull. It belongs to the one that never needed to move.